pleasure to be here, and you have no idea how much of a pleasure that it is. I think during the month of March, I think I slept in my own bed maybe 2 days in that whole month. We spent, of course, 14 days, 13 days back in Washington, D.C. over the health care bill. It seemed like every other weekend I came home, we were going to some soccer tournament in the Bay Area. So I would get home on Thursday, we'd be literally Friday, be out the door by Friday at 2 o'clock and traveling over the Bay Area or doing something of that nature. So it's kind of nice to have been home for a little bit of time, spend time with the family, and be able to spend a few minutes with you this morning. I noticed the agenda said that I'd speak for a half hour and you have 15 minutes of questions. I think I'd like to change that, make it maybe 15 minutes of comments and 30 minutes of questions and comments, because I'm far more interested in what you have to say than you perhaps with what I have to say. Most of you know I've grown up in this community. In fact, I'm going to celebrate, and I'm not eager to say this, my 50th birthday this year. Unfortunately, that has very negative connotations back in Washington, D.C. when they start talking about tickle fights and dogpiling on the old guy. I don't know how that ever became ordinary, but I see a lot of friends here that have been here for a long time too. Kelly and Scott, I saw Jim, grew up here, just walked in a little bit later, and a lot of other people. Pete's been here for a long time, a lot of people that have been in this community for a long time. We've seen good things, we've seen bad things, but I think one of the things, mostly good, one of the things I like to say is that the high school my mother went to is the junior high that I went to, which is the middle school that my children went to. And I raised 4 children here in this community. I want to make sure this is close. If it's not, my wife will signal me here, because she's very good, much better with a mic than I am. Raised 4 children here in this community. All 4 of them are now in different states. I have 1 in Pennsylvania, 1 in California, 1 in Arizona, and the youngest is at home. And she's 14, and I don't think she's called the baby anymore because she's now taller than mom. And a couple of weeks ago, she called me dude. So I don't think that makes her a baby. I just wonder what that makes me. I want to talk just for a few minutes a little bit about Barack Obama, a little bit about myself. And everything that Barack Obama is doing does not surprise me. And frankly, it shouldn't surprise anybody here in this room what he is doing. I tried to emphasize that elections have consequences. I have been saying that for 17 years now, since I was Secretary of State, that elections have consequences, and we're seeing the consequences of the last election. Barack Obama said he was fundamentally going to change America. And he is fundamentally changing America. He said he was for a single-pay healthcare system. And true enough, he wants now, and what we have today is a government-run healthcare system here in this country. He said he was going to redistribute the wealth. And that made big news during the campaign. He said he was going to do it, and he is doing it now. So there shouldn't be any policy that this president pushes that you should be surprised with, because this is exactly what this president said he was going to do. Now, I wonder, because I look at myself philosophically, I don't think there's 2 people more different back in Washington, D.C. than perhaps myself and Barack Obama. Someone who was born and raised in Chicago, someone who was born and raised here, not born, but raised here in Carson City, you're going to have some real philosophical differences. I consider myself a low-tax, small government, reasonable regulations, a free market capitalist. That's me. I don't think that has much to do with the single-pay healthcare system or fundamentally changing America or perhaps redistributing wealth. And yet when I look at that, and I look at the results of the last election cycle, do you know there were 20,000 people in Washoe County that voted for Barack Obama and then voted for Dean Heller? How does that happen? In my congressional district, 30,000 people voted for Barack Obama, and then on the next vote, voted for Dean Heller. And I don't know how that happens. It could be because you want to fundamentally change America, kind of. Or you want a single-pay healthcare system, kind of. Or you want to redistribute the wealth, kind of. Or maybe you believed in the hope and change. And I think there were a lot of Americans that wanted to see hope and change. Or maybe you were tired of the previous administration. Or you weren't happy with the Republican nominee at the time. I think there's a lot of reason. But it is incredible to think that McCain won my congressional district by 97 votes. Just 97 votes. In a district that George W. Bush probably carried, and I don't know the exact number, probably by 20 to 30,000 the cycle before. But it's interesting to see the shift of this country and where it's going.